GoPlay founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Once again, this is your host, Christopher Turner. This is another episode of Go Play Esports Podcast, where we cover everything esports from collegiate to professional to K-12 and beyond. Today's just like any other episode, we have a special guest. Today we have Tamika Moultrie, REDinFamy. Queens is in the building definitely today. We're going to get to her briefly. You know how we go. Let's pay some bills. If you don't know now, you know Kovacs is a sponsor of the show now. It's an aim trainer. Tamika, you're going to get a special code for this one, man. It's definitely improved my game as far as Call of Duty and all the other first-person shooters that I have. It's an aim trainer special playlist for each game, Overwatch to Fortnite to Call of Duty to Valorant. Anything can be custom tailored to whatever game you're playing, and it's different playlists that you can take advantage of. But check out this Kovacs highlight, courtesy of Kovacs. See, REDinFamy made my day. See, y'all can't see it. I can see it on my end. The facial expression when I blew that guy's head off, because I've been on my Kovacs, man. I've been training in my spare time. Now, I can't beat some of the kids on my collegiate team quite yet, but trust me, before the end of summer, man, I'm going to get there, man. We're going to have a good time. So please go to Kovacs. Please download it. First person to DM me today receives a free code. I'm going to make sure I guess REDinFamy gets a code as well, man, so she can catch up on her skill set. Not saying that she's garbage though. All right, we're gonna go ahead and bring her in a few seconds. Welcome to the show.
Yo, well, bro, thank you so much. It's an honor. Yeah. I'm excited, and the reason why is because this is like this high caliber right here, right? I am honored. Yeah, that Kovacs looks sick and crazy. I was just in a Call of Duty tournament with Call of Duty with Activision, and yeah, I need that because I'm good in regular Call of Duty. I'm a beast, but Warzone, I need some work.
I need some work.
I need some work.
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna get with them. I'm gonna get you a custom playlist too, just for Warzone, man. We're gonna hook that up. We're gonna definitely get that done today. Nah, no problem, man. You know, I start with this question with all of my guests, man. If you watch the podcast before I listen to it, you know, exactly who is REDinFamy. Like, you know, you got a hell of a career, man, but I'm gonna let you talk briefly about who you are and how did you get here?
Wow. The REDinFamy is, you know, your home girl from, you know, Hollis, Queens, New York. I love my city. Grew up around gaming. My parents actually got me into gaming, seeing my father play, seeing my mom play sometimes, or watching him play, being around like geekdom all the time. My grandma is a Trekkie. She loves Battlestar Galactica.
That's what's up.
Like she loves sci-fi. So just being in, you know, she's like a scholar. So like just being around that kind of influenced me and everything that I love, you know, from video games to comic books to anime. And then just being in New York City alone and seeing my father play basketball and him being into hip hop. He used to be a rapper actually back in the 80s and stuff. I had heard some of his tracks and was teasing him. And like my uncle, shouts out to my Uncle Wayne. Him being in the industry as well and working with Russell Simmons and stuff like that. So just being around a whole kind of shampoo of culture kind of just crafted me to who I am today as REDinFamy. My name is actually inspired off of one of my favorite hip hop duos, which is Mobb Deep, and their album Infamy. And that was during high school when I used to listen to that album a lot. I got the name because of graphics. I see all this graphic stuff that you do, bro. I'm gonna
Hey,
have to
bro.
hire you for something, yo.
I got you.
I gotta learn from you, bro. But
I got
I
you.
used to do graphic design. I taught myself it in high school, and back then, there was forums versus what we have now, social media, and people wanted like these signatures and stuff with sprites and all kind of different cool stuff. So I had red effects at that time. I thought it was kind of lame. So I was like, I want to make it stand out more and be different because people had names like that. So I just merged my favorite color and one of the albums I was listening to at the time from Mobb Deep and merged it together, and that crafted and birthed REDinFamy. And I had that as like a your little signature name or different like aim and stuff like that. I would never knew that it would actually become a brand of mine. How I got into the industry was just through just keeping up with gaming news, and after college, and actually listening to podcasts. This is when podcasts was popping off a little bit. Gamer Tag Radio, Step Your Game Up with games on Smash, and even watching people like, my love, Hip Hop Gamer. I watched him when I was in college. We didn't even know each other. But just seeing all these different people inspired me to want to be involved more. Like, I want to be in the industry. I love these games for the longest. Instead of reading it on magazines, I would love to know who's behind these games. So when social media started to heighten with Twitter, I would just talk about video games all the time. And that's how I got acquainted with getting actually discovered. Discovered by an editor at the time. And shouts out to Anselm. He was like, hey, how would you love to write for Black Enterprise? Now, before then, I was doing indie stuff. One of my good friends, Treasy, if y'all know who Treasy 504 is, Jeff, back in the days, with Malik and everyone. Shouts out to Malik Forte. He helped me and was like, hey, how would you like to write for my website? And that helped me kind of formulate my ideas better too. But on Twitter is where I actually got discovered to get paid to be a journalist. Like, I'm official now. I'm getting paid to be a journalist. And what was so dope was he didn't even ask me for any writing samples. Like, he was like, hey, you know how to articulate your thoughts in 140 characters, as that's what it was at that time. I'm pretty sure you know how to do a body of work. So that's how I got my first professional step in the door, and then always played my ear close to the community as well, because I'm a gamer first before a journalist. And that's REDinFamy a little bit, some other geeky stuff, to uncover, but that's like the top layer.
You mentioned yourself being a gamer. Like, what's your top three right now, man? I know that's a hard question to ask you, but like, what's your top three go-tos right now?
Okay, top three go-tos. I mean, right now that I've been playing has been Miles Morales. I play Overcooked with my godbrother and godmother. That's since I'm not able to see them yet. That's how we kind of, bond more together. So, and multiplayer wise, I've been on that Battlefield Hardline because I'm preparing for that new Battlefield that's coming out soon. So yeah, I'm always on the shooters. If not that, like Destiny, going back to Destiny, that's something I always go back to. But yeah, those are my top games right now.
For sure. And you mentioned being a journalist, and I gotta put this out here, man. You 10 years in the game.
Yeah.
Like, that should be celebrated. Not seriously, like, being in journalism, like, I want to give you a chance to talk your talk, man. You've done stuff like Revolt, E3, you've been a personality at the 2K lead in the draft, and all types of stuff, man. Let the people know who you are, man. Like, this is your platform, man, to talk that talk, man. Talk that Queen's talk, man.
Talk that talk. Yeah, like 10 years. I still can't believe it to this day. Like 10 years. It doesn't seem like 10 years. It seems like yesterday. Everything has changed and evolved so much. I love how more being vocal, to want to be represented, and if not, to actually make their own seats, their own tables to be seated at their, at the table. But yeah, like even like just covering esports alone, me seeing like some of the not the first, because esports have been around for so many years. A lot of people don't know, it started off through a lot of actions with Walter Day, with Twin Galaxies, and then Nintendo with their tournaments that they would have. Like those are like the beginnings of esports, when it was just single player. It wasn't so much a team sport. It was kind of like golf, it's just you. It's just you. It's just you to depend on, and you're trying to reach that high score. That was esports, trying to reach that high score. And then when fighting games came about, that just changed everything. So being able to speak to some of these people, like I interviewed Walter Day, I interviewed Giovanni Sundance, and everyone like that who started MLG. And just speaking to some of these people who had their foot in esports, I got a chance to, and I know personally, he's a friend of mine, Triforce, just him having the most winningest esports team actually in history, and no one really talks about it that much. And he's a black man, he's an owner, with a ton of black and Hispanic talent on his roster. But no one seems to talk about it. We talk more about the 100 Thieves and the Evil Geniuses, but before those were even formed, you had Empire Arcadia. So knowing all that and trying to put that back into the forefront to make sure that those stories are evergreen and not just something that just fly by. So just having a hand in that and seeing how the fighting game community, I love the fighting game community. There's so much that needs to be done, but that's some of like our homegrown roots in esports as Black and Hispanic people, is the fighting games. Like we get hype, get hype seeing, a hair like Yipe say, "Where's Marvel?" Like those are some cultural things that was even put into Marvel versus Capcom game. His different things that he would say was on the Deadpool character, like things like that. A lot of people don't even know, and just experiencing that all the way up until now is just incredible. But yeah, I've worked with Complex, I worked with Revolt. Black Enterprise was my first professional experience. And I love how, like, even my first experience, I was able to give gaming to something that they already had as one of the most prestigious, outlets there is for finance in the Black community and entrepreneurship. So, and then now coming back to like having and being a part of E for Life podcast. Shouts out to my brothers over there,
for sure.
Sebastian, Marcus, Derek, and seeing that we're doing that and trying to make it into something that's new, a new age form of what Black Enterprise has built from a long time ago, but bringing that in something that even younger people can digest. And even if you're older or you want to get into esports or understand esports and the business that revolve around it, to understand it. And then also for people that's coming in and even the younger generation, you don't have to rely on being an entertainer. You can actually be an owner. You could be an owner in these things. You could be someone that's creating these games, creating these teams, or being a head coach like yourself, Chris, with some of these teams and trying to form things education wise. So yeah, it's fun. It's been really fun speaking to different developers, different pro players throughout the years. And I love how my first E3 was in 2011 or 2012. And I remember not seeing so many people, especially women, that looked like me. I didn't see a lot of Black women. It was just me, my good friend of mine, Cherie. She's like a sister to me. Shouts out to Cherie. She's the editor. She's the first Black female editor-in-chief of a tech outlet, Laptop Magazine.
Gotcha.
And Keisha Howard. And yeah, that was about it.
That was it.
that was honestly about it. It was just the three of us. And till now, like the last E3 that physically that I got a chance to be at, I've seen so many more. Like, I've seen so much more, and it just made me smile. And every time I would see a sis, I would be like, "Hey," you know what I'm saying, and just smile, smile at my fellow sisters. And it was just so beautiful to see her, even going to PlayStation Experience and meeting a lot of great women throughout the years. Black Essence, Storm. These are two women, and Crunk Girl. Shouts out to y'all. These are the women that I've seen on YouTube for years before I even got involved, that inspired me to be comfortable to even want to put a camera on.
Sure.
So just living throughout that, just been so inspirational. And I'm in touch with these people, and I've been talking to these people ever since I said, "Hey, thank you," all the way up until now in my career and experience. So it's a dope industry. And even if you want to come into it, it's a dope industry to grow and to make sisterhoods, make brotherhoods and villages. It shouldn't be all about a competition, especially amongst our people. It shouldn't be competition. It should be about how can we formulate something to help one another, so we don't have to ask so many questions like it's a full-on who, what, when, why, and how. like it's a press release out here. We can have those answers for each other and just try to make each other grow. So yeah, the 10 years, that's what it's been so far. And I can't wait for another 10. Yeah, boy.
Facts. So man, you touched on so much stuff, man. I'm gonna definitely have you back on, but D and I within STEM, diversity and inclusion. You talked about your sisters. You talked about being African American in space, and not only that, being a woman. I've said it before in my podcast. I'm a girl dad. I have two girls that are gamers, and so I look at you. I look at Keisha and others like to pull out that map. I want to know what the scope is and what the landscape is, and help y'all navigate. We had a conversation offline about that, and so talk about it, man. Talk about how important it is for diversity and inclusion. I know everybody uses it, but I want you to kind of go into depth about that and talk about the stigma that we have in our community, that crawfish and the barrel mentality. I want to hear your take on that.
Sure. Yeah, diversity and inclusion, it is this buzzword, just like how esports is a buzzword.
Yeah.
But is it actually being executed? Like back in, I remember 2004, 2005, when I was in college, I went to a conference, and I seen all these diversity and inclusion executives, and it was always either a Black man or a Black woman. And till now, it's like, what are you doing this for a status quo, or you're actually wanting to change and help elevate? So yeah, diversity inclusion period and STEAM is so important because like statistics wise, and I've seen it, just like, you can always hear about statistics, but when you actually see it, it's like, yo, that's really true.
Yeah.
And so the statistics, a lot of times with young women, little girls, they stop being involved in science and video games around the age of 11. And that's due to so many factors. But one of the big factors that, of course, any little girl is going to remember is their family. If their family's not supportive or want to say stereotypical things like, oh, that's for little boys, girls don't play video games, or science, you should be a nurse, or just like the stereotypical gender things to a career, a lot of little girls take into that. Even the girls that they're around, they see they into different things, like, oh, maybe that's not for me, that might be too boyish, maybe I should get into that so I could be accepted more. Like I've actually seen that, and I've seen that even with adults, how there's women, Black women, that are gamers. And this one woman that I knew, she was like, she didn't want to take her Switch to the I think it was a nail salon, a hair salon, because she didn't want anybody asking her a bunch of questions. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, so when you get to see people who look like you, when you get to see people who talk the way you speak, or anything of that nature, or come from the neighborhoods and understand what's against you, and you see those same people in those positions or in some type of limelight or spotlight, then you know, like, damn, I could do that too. Like, what you talk about us just for dudes? I see her, and she's doing it, and shoot, I could do it better, and that's what I want to force. I want the next generation to do it's just like having a child. You want your children to be better than you. And how can you help to make sure that's accomplished? That's why, like you mentioned, the crawfish in the barrel. You from Louisiana, so these
you already know. You know what that is.
So the crawfish in a barrel. We need to not. We tend to complain, for example, like Black women not being represented and so forth. But in that same breath and using that same energy, we have to make sure that we're upholding each other and being accountable for each other to support. If you don't see enough Black women in a certain space, ask yourself, what can you do to help? How can you help your fellow sister? I don't care if it's someone who streams and you want to share their stream, like it, support the YouTube, like just small things. They have a new company and something, share it, support it. They got some people be bugging with prices, but but sometimes you have to understand that they are they're an indie entrepreneur and they don't have funding. So the more that they can get out of something, they can then transform it and reinvest it, hopefully back into themselves and hopefully into their community. So I understand the price point. I'm like, damn, your shirt is $80. But I get to understand.
They can't order that 5,000 bulk,
exactly,
and get the low price. And so I get what you're saying.
So I get it I get it. So we have to understand that we're not buying all the time from this big distributor that we see all the time, or when we see something that's so-called Black owned, but then you look at the bag, Johnson & Johnson, how is this Black owned? And that's why that price is low, because the whole machine now, compared to when it first started out, you was paying more than that. So just understanding certain factors and know that if you feel like you're struggling in something, it's probably 10 times worse for someone else that looked like you. So just have that mentality to want to help and want to help younger women feel empowered and have some type of role models or something. Like we ain't telling you to be the second coming. We just say just to be like a role, not like a role model in a sense of like, wow, she's supportive, she's understanding. Just the simple things of life that we seen that our grandparents would do, and back in their time. So that's one thing I feel that with our people and especially Black women in this industry and any industry really need to form sisterhoods and be there for one another instead of having the stereotypical thing that's performed in the media so much, bashing each other.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. 110% agree with that, And I'll put myself and hip hop in the conversation and saying we need y'all, man, because y'all get all the details that we miss, man. So y'all definitely need to be a sisterhood. Yeah, for sure, man. Last but not least, Geek Game Tyte, man. Talk about it. Like, what is it? What's your goal set behind it? What you got coming up?
Yeah, so thank you. Geek Game Tyte. I need your help, bro. I'm gonna need your help. We're gonna speak offline but Geek Game Tyte, like over the span of 10 years, I've worked with independent websites to large outlets, but that was always me adding my value to someone else's dream, someone else's goals. So I wanted to create my own. I wish I was taught, and for any young women or even young men out there, whatever goal you want to pursue, always make sure you have your own in your pocket. And you don't need finances in order to make that come true. I thought that I needed money to build a website. I thought I needed money to build a podcast. And this was way back in like 2007. Like, I just thought that I needed all these things because I seen all these things glorified before me, not knowing that on the back end, they probably had books stacked up the whole camera and all kind. You never know people's stories because they can make it look one way on the outside, but on the back it might be a little janky. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. Like we got to start out somehow. But I just thought that, and in this stage right now with social media, you got TikTok and Instagram. That's mostly what the new generation is on. They just think that, wow, that's how you get it. Boom. No, it's not that easy. It's still a struggle and everything else. So I formed Geek Game Tyte to make the founding blocks to what I want, my own dream and goal. And I seen that there was a void that needed to be filled. Monica, just like she had mentioned, what is the hub that shares all the information of Black and Hispanics being a part of X, Y, and Z in the whole freaking alphabet, you might as well say. And there's really no hub. What is the Black enterprise to a geek culture sector? So that's what I wanted to make with Geek Game Tyte, is to showcase Black, Hispanic, and Native geeks from all around the world that we exist. We have these projects. We created these things. We're involved. We're some of the founding pillars actually in gaming, and we are the culture of damn near everything. When they speak culture, because that's like a buzzword, they talking about Black people.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
They talk about Black people.
Yeah,
they don't say it.
Yeah,
they don't say it, which means that it could get whitewashed down the line whenever it will, like everything else have been in the past. So I wanted to make something where you can get your information. That's why it's called Geek Game, because in New York you gotta have your game on locked.
There you go.
Game on tight. So that's like some of the little lingo there. But that's what I wanted to form, and that's what I'm working on. It's been an uphill battle because I'm a one-woman army. So I'm trying to learn from everyone, how to make this, stick and expand and help others that want to enter into the industry have an opportunity to probably make Geek Game Tyte one of their pivoting platforms to then go off and do what they need to do. So that's what Geek Game Tyte is about. And that's some of the things I've been working on, along with Hidden Code is a series that I do on YouTube, and uncovering Black women in esports. So just showcasing us. A lot of times people just don't know. And we can't depend on other people to supply that information when we can do it ourselves.
That's awesome, man. And wrapping up, I give my guests, time to plug. I know you just plugged a little bit, but tell people how they can reach you on social media, what you got coming up on your podcast, what content you creating, and where they can find you.
Everything is REDinFamy across the board. Even if you want to play me in some games on PlayStation or Xbox, Geek Game Tyte is coming soon again, because I'm relaunching it because your girl broke the website, so I gotta relaunch it. And on my YouTube, that's where I have my series, and then I'm going to be covering E3 this year digitally. Hopefully next year it could be in person. So stay tuned for some coverage on that. Of course, E for Life podcast. We're on every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And actually today, which I even forgot to say it last night, my bad, because I was like, I don't know what's going on this week. So like I said, One Woman Army, please forgive me. I am going to be on another podcast, Maya Mata. It's a UK podcast. They they create like their own manga. It's a Black owned and Black distributed with manga and anime. And then we're going to be speaking on E3. So those are the things so far. If I can, let me remember now, because I don't want to
you don't want to put nothing on the table.
But that's about it. And of course, the things that we're working on too. One of my passions is definitely to get more of our people, our youth involved in esports in a way that is not just gravitated around entertainment, but the educational aspect of it, for them to be leaders in this space. And not followers. So working with you and Generation Esports, so those things I'm very dedicated in and I can't wait for her. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's great times, man. Let me close out the show, man. Thanks for coming on, man. You welcome anytime you got something new, anytime you working on anything. You're welcome to come back and share with the audience.
Thank you.
Man.
Appreciate it.
All right, no problem. That was Tamika Moultrie, you know, as REDinFamy. And we're gonna go to drink control, rather. Control is a meal replace supplement. You know the story by now. I'm gonna go to this commercial.
90% of people love statistics. We don't have any data to support that, so you'll just have to take our word for it. Control contains prebiotic fiber, the stuff that promotes healthy gut bacteria. Unlike unhealthy gut bacteria, it's healthy. It also contains digestive enzymes. They promote healthy digestion. You're probably starting to recognize a trend here. You know what else are healthy? Branched-chain amino acids. They support muscle growth and amp up your exercise performance. And MCTs help to control your appetite. 5 grams of fiber, 23 grams of protein, 22 vitamins and minerals, plus it's made with real pieces of cereal. Control. Statistically awesome.
There you go. That was Drink Control. You can use code GOPLAYES. That's GEAUXPLAYES. Discount code 10% off. Trust me, great meal replacement. Tastes like your favorite cereals. Go look at the flavors they have. That's drinkcontrol.com. Like I always say, just go play esports, people.